Them Jack, they're coming.
Oh, really?
Oh, enano desgraciado, después hablamos. ¡Fuego!
Ouch!
Hi guys, welcome to this new episode of Kreabox. Today we're going to play with After Effects. So in the first tutorial you've got the tools and the tips and the technique to create the vectorial explosion, the layer that you're going to animate right here in After Effects. So let's going to begin. The first thing is to create a composition of 1280 pixels by 720 pixels. Then import your elements. In this case I created a background, and the only thing that I'm going to do here is to, from this background, to take this light, a light that I have here, and now to incorporate the canon. These elements, you can create all of your elements as well. These are just the element that I decided to go with this little scene, so I'm just imported my canon. And then this is the important part, when you import your bump, the explosion. The explosion is quite the important thing of this tutorial, how you can create the effect or how you can animate an explosion. Remember that you have to draw your explosion by just creating frame by frames. So in this case we are going to animate this frame by frame. So take all of your layers, as you can see here, and reduce the size of just one frame per layer. Now use the keyframe assistant and separate them just with one frame separation, and in this case you're going to see the animation going on. Just reduce the composition to the size of your, or the extension of your layers, and then you have this animation set up. Now trim the composition to this size, and now as you can see you have a little explosion there. Now it is just a matter of look for a better position for your explosion with the position of your cannon. So try to fix a little bit the position here and there, and when the animation of the explosion begins, it is an important moment for you in the next step to animate the cannon, because the cannon is not a static object. A cannon will have some sort of movement after the blast, after the explosion. So that's what we're going to do here. But the first thing is to create a more impressive explosion. So take the first bomb, the first composition, and then duplicate it, Ctrl D. And now just rotate a little bit the composition, and as well use different blending modes. You can experiment a little bit with different blendings in order to find the best result, or in order to find the best blending, the best combination. In this case I'm going to go with this blending, and it's quite the way that I want to go. Change the velocity in order to have a different result, and now copy or multiply this layer just with Ctrl D. In order to create a smoke, just add an effect, go to a color and use a tint. In this case, with just the tint effect, you're going to have black and white, which obviously it is the color of smoke. So you have here just with this effect quite the transformation from fire into smoke. And now, since a smoke is going the last thing that goes in an explosion. First, all the heat and the hot and the particles and the debris and everything. But since the smoke is the last part, you just need to expand a little bit the velocity of that sequence, and now create a pre-composition of these elements in order to have just one boom, one explosion that have the combination of the three bombs. The first bomb, the second bomb will have a blending mode, and the third bomb will be just the smoke. So you have here a quite of a composition that have all these three elements, and you can use it as another explosion. I'm going to start this effect by now creating the animation of the cannon. Move the anchor point to the bottom of the cannon in order to move with rotation from this angle. So change a little bit the rotation of the cannon, yeah, something like that. You can play it a little bit. Remember, this is when the cannon go boom in some way, going up, and change then is going to go down, then bounce a little bit, going upward, and then goes down again. And that's pretty much quite it's the effect of bouncing. You really need to see a real life reference about this particular or comic effect. I'm just going to go with something like this and rearrange velocities, change the movements, change a little bit, play a little bit with interpolation. Look for blazers when the cannon go up, when the cannon go down, right now move, rotate a little bit the wheel, the wooden wheel, when the movement start, then go backward, then where it's at the lowest position go forward, and that's it. In this way you can you have animated the wheel with the cannon. Keep doing little changes here and there, and that's it, and that's good enough. Now I'm going to need to move the whole cannon, the whole thing, the wheels, the cannon and everything in this animation. So the best way to go is just focus on one element, change the position of one element. In this case I'm just creating a null object. So we're going to do this with this tool here, which is the whip tool. The whip tool allows you to connect different layers to a particular object. So you just connect all of the layers to this null object, so that you can see if I move the null object, then the whole pieces of the cannon will follow that null object. So that's the best way. I'm going to move the cannon a little bit backwards and then forwards, and that's it. That's the way in which you can create this quite of a little animation for the cannon to go up when obviously is blasting the cannonball. Change a little bit the timing, interpolation, play with the separation of the frames, of the keyframes, and yeah, go for something like this. Yeah, that's good enough. All right. So that's pretty much it for how you can create the illusion of movement not only the movement of the cannon, but as well how you can create the explosion. Now it is a matter of playing with your explosions and changing when you need to start, and try to combine both elements, the explosion and the cannon movement, in order to recreate quite the effect that you are looking for, which it is that this retraction move to go when the explosion starts. So now go ahead and copy this element, the cannon, and move it upwards, change a little bit the position, and now if remember that when you duplicate from the timeline, an element is going to be quite a copy of the element. So if I change something in this element, in this composition, then it's going to be reflected, or you're going to see the same result in the second element. So in this case, I decided to go with just splitting the cannon, because I don't want to start both explosions at the same time. So I'm just split the cannon, the second cannon, the smaller one, and just put in the front quite the last part of the animation, if it makes any sense. In this case, because at the end of the animation, the cannon have exactly quite the same position. So that's it. That is how I created the illusion that the cannon begins to explode later than the first cannon. And now change here and there, make some arrangements and movements to have the effect that you may want to. Now move the blast, move the bomb, the explosion a little bit, move here and move these elements a little bit here and there, and boom, I have quite the effect that I wanted. I see that now I have to move the second explosion. Here there is a concept that you must handle when it comes compositions into compositions. If you don't change the size of the composition, in this case I want a here, the size of the composition of the boom I want it to be here or more or bigger, because if I move this, as you can see, the borders of the animations are inside the frame. So if you pay close attention, these borders are the borders of the composition. So if I move the borders inside the same composition, then the animation will be cut off. Alright, so you really need to take in consideration this when you are moving compositions inside another compositions, that the side of the compositions will delimit in some way the what is going on inside this composition. That's pretty much for this part of the tutorial. Just played a little bit, change your elements, but I'm pretty satisfied with the final result of this explosion. You can change and do other kind of explosions and other kind of experiments, but in this case I'm pretty satisfied with this final effect. Right, that's it. That's good to me. Now finish to your animation with the incorporation of other characters or anything that you may want to add to this particular scene. And that's pretty much how you can create an explosion into After Effects. The most important tip to remember here is that you can create an animation with Illustrator by using different layers, and then you can animate it into After Effects. So that's it for this part of this tutorial, which it is a combination of After Effects with Illustrator. So I hope that you have enjoyed this tutorial, And always remember to have a great time while you're creating your own world.